What if you relocate to a city that's supposed to be full of promises in North Carolina, only to find out that every day you run into traffic jams with all the trade events, your nights are silent, and all your kids' schools are just average? Stay with me to the end so I can uncover the biggest secret about living in High Point, North Carolina. If this is your first time to the channel, or if you're just thinking about moving to North Carolina and you just want more information on High Point, the Triad, Winston, Salem, Greensboro, or North Carolina in general, I'd love to chat with you. But be sure to hit the subscribe button below so that you don't miss out on any of our upcoming videos on living in North Carolina, whether it's High Point, Kernersville, Greensboro, or Winston-Salem. I'd love to chat with you. We chat with people every day, whether they're thinking about moving 9 days out, 90 days out, or 9 years from now. We'd love to chat with you. You can call, DM, or text me. I help people every day move to the area and make North Carolina their home. And make sure, if you want to chat, you click the link below and set up a time where we can have a quick Zoom, and chat about what your next move or the idea of moving to North Carolina would look like. The first pro about living in High Point, North Carolina is the furniture market. High Point's known for having an annual furniture market. Most of the furniture that you buy or that's designed could be designed or created in High Point. High Point's the hub. Almost every single furniture company has a facility, an office, factory, or whatever you can call it in High Point. It's known for furniture, so it brings a lot of commerce to High Point. One of the cool things about High Point, or if you live near High Point, is that this furniture market is so big because it's international, that what locals do is they actually sometimes they'll rent out their personal house, or people own Airbnbs just for the furniture market, because it's just so profitable during the weeks of the furniture market, because some people come early, some people come, they stay longer, and just overall having the furniture market here brings such a high presence of business to the area during that time frame, that hugely beneficial for the area financially. So that's a huge, huge pro. Another pro about living in High Point, North Carolina is the cost of living. The median average around the country compared to High Point is about 19.5%. So living in High Point, it'll be a lot less expensive than living anywhere else in the country, which is great. And with the furniture market there, if you're in that field, definitely your cost of living will be lower. The average median home price in High Point is probably $260, $265. So, overall, it's cheaper than Greensboro, probably similar to Winston-Salem and Kernersville. But overall, it's cheaper living in High Point than most places in the country. So, that's a fabulous pro as well. Another cool thing about that, again, is that you can rent out your house as an Airbnb. So not only is it lower, the cost of living is lower, but you can make money renting your house out or an Airbnb while all those folks from other places come to visit High Point for the market. Another pro about living in High Point is that there's a decent amount of commerce with all the furniture markets and the different factories and companies. So you can get a job locally. There's also quite a few hospitals, and there's High Point University in High Point. So there is jobs locally, but a lot of the people that live in High Point do travel and commute to Winston-Salem, Greensboro, Kernersville, etc. to work. So you will have to commute, but it's a close commute. So you're not driving that long, but there is commerce there with all the furniture market and all that there that you can find a job locally in High Point. So that's huge. Another pro about living in High Point is that High Point University is an anchor for the city. It's nationally ranked university. It's a private university that brings a lot of commerce to the area, as well as jobs and so on. The schools are not in High Point. The public schools are not, ranked that much differently than the other areas around the Triad, but there is schools in the area. They do have some private schools as well. They've got quite a few private schools. There's Westland. It's a Christian school, so they do have private schools in the area. They've also got magnet schools in the area. So there's a school for everyone, or whatever you're kind of interested in having your child attend. High Point's got it, definitely, for sure. And as well as if you have an older child that's going to head to a university, High Point University is actually ranked number 1 in one of the best schools in the South. So locally, we've got a great university right down the road. So it's an amazing place to send your student and or get a job at. So that's a really great pro for High Point. One of the last pros about High Point is that it's so centrally located. They call it the Triad. So it's funny, you can actually make a triangle, and each point is Winston, Salem, then we've got Greensboro, and then at the other point of the triangle is High Point. So it's centrally located. So you're literally in between I-85, 311, off of 40's right near I-40's right near there. So you're really, really close to all the different cities, Greensboro, Kernersville, Winston-Salem, about 15, 20 minutes at the most away from all these different cities. So it's super centrally located. Also, the airport from High Point is super close. It's about a 10-minute drive to the airport. So again, if you fly a lot for your job, living in High Point might be one of the best places to live in the Triad, because your commute time to the airport is super fast. And the airport's not a big airport. And so, there's not, you don't have to leave super early to get there. So that it's not one of the big international airports like Raleigh or Charlotte, where you definitely need to be there 2 and 3 hours before. You could slide in at, an hour and a half early before your flight and still have plenty of time to get on your plane. And that's one of the benefits about living in High Point, is it is so close to the airport. We're going to talk about the cons about living in High Point. One con is that the crime rates, they are higher than Winston-Salem and Kernersville and other areas. So when you're looking at safety-wise, I will say that High Point definitely has a little bit more crime than other areas in the Triad. So it's definitely something you want to research and look at the statistics and make sure that that works for you. But that is a con, is that you will deal with more graffiti. But again, you are in High Point, North Carolina, and it's not like crime in big cities. What they're talking about, crime rates in High Point, is definitely not like what you're going to see if you lived in Charlotte or Raleigh. We're definitely not talking about those kind of crime rates, but it is a con for High Point that it does, for the size of the city, have higher crime rates than other cities the same size. But definitely do your research and you figure out if that works for you. Another con about living in High Point is that it doesn't have a huge nightlife. The city actually shuts down and gets quiet earlier. So if you're looking for plenty of dinners out, nightlife, bars, etc., you're just not really going to find it. It does shut down, places to eat. You are looking at probably 9 or 10 that they will shut down in High Point. So if you like to stay out late, you like the nightlife, it's not rip-roaring in High Point, definitely like it would be in Charlotte or Raleigh. It's a lot quieter, and the town shuts down pretty early, respectively, if you're looking at nightlife. There is restaurants, there is some bars, but there's just not a ton of nightlife in that respect. And, it does have great restaurants in the area, but they're not going to be open super late, because that's not that kind of town. Another con about High Point, North Carolina, is the uneven school performance. Some schools rank higher than other schools. So overall, it's not like an even all the schools are doing the best in High Point. It's definitely something that I would say that you definitely need to research and do your own due diligence. What schools work for you and your family, but the uneven performance is definitely a con for living in High Point if you have school-age kids. There is private schools again as well, but definitely something you want to research and figure out what works best for you with school-age children living in High Point. Another con about High Point is that there is definitely a gap of shopping and stores and just, all those amenities that you might need. You may have to leave High Point. It doesn't have a huge, amount of retail in actual High Point. You definitely have to go to Greensboro or Winston, Salem, or even Kernersville to get what you might need. There is a Target and there's a Walmart. There's a movie theater as well, and there's restaurants. There's all that, kind of stuff that you might need. But if you're looking for, a big mall or higher end stores, there is a definite gap in High Point. And it's funny because here, this city has the most furniture companies and stores and factories in the entire world, but the retail gap for everything else is definitely, it's a problem when you're living in High Point, that you would have to leave the area to, hit your favorite store and or maybe restaurant that you love, because it is lacking that. Another con about living in High Point is the traffic congestion. Especially during the furniture market, it is so many people in the area that your commute time would definitely be longer. You're going to definitely deal with more traffic overall and people and congestion, because the event lasts for a couple of weeks, and it could last actually like a month or over a month with the influx of people from all around the world, because it is international, that you will deal with a lot more traffic in High Point. Because it's a smaller city, it does have pretty decent infrastructure with roads, but still with that large amount of people in the area, and especially downtown, you will deal with a lot of traffic and waiting in traffic lines during the furniture market for sure, but even around before and after the furniture market, you'll definitely deal with some congestion because it's a lot of people coming into the area and it's not a huge city. Before I wrap up here, I want to talk to you about the hidden gem that I mentioned to you in the first part of the video. High Point has one of the coolest neighborhoods called Emerywood. It's a very old historic neighborhood. It's a huge neighborhood. It has some of the coolest old houses and estates, and it has a huge golf course, and it's an amazing, eclectic, great neighborhood. One of my most favorite neighborhoods in the Triad altogether. Secondly, High Point has an amazing city park. It is a huge park. There's huge events all year long. During the 4th of July, they have a great firework display. There's a lake there as well. You can kayak, you can paddleboard, and there's, you can do lake activities as well. So if you tour High Point, ask for those two secret hidden gems that I mentioned, the city park and Emerywood, because those show you what High Point's really all about beyond the huge furniture hub. So if you're seriously considering moving to High Point or anywhere in the Triad or North Carolina in general, I'd love to chat with you. You can call, text, DM me, or set up an appointment on the link below, and we can have a conversation over Zoom about what moving to North Carolina, the Triad, or High Point would look like for you. We help people every day. Again, like I said, whether it's 9 days, 90 days, or 9 years away, move to North Carolina and call North Carolina home.